Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I'm Abby Hagyard. This is my tiny little corner of the world, and I am broadcasting, streaming, communicating, engaging with you from Ottawa, Canada, which is a pretty cool place to be, even if you're not Canadian. So just let me click on this tech thing here that allows me to say hello and welcome back. And let me take a sip of my warm, soothing beverage, because I have something really, well, it's exciting to share. It's important to talk about. And what's always lovely, I find, is that when we realize that we're on a similar path. You know, there's a very beautiful old poem, two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and I chose the road less taken. And I think we all feel that way sometimes. I think we all feel that we maybe took a wrong turn, or we look over our shoulder and we can't find anybody, and we don't know if we're the ones who are lost, or it's them, or it's a combination of the two. And it's unsettling. Good morning, Freddie. It's so nice to see you. So before I begin, I want to thank everybody who has taken the time to prioritize this. So I know there are some of you on LinkedIn, and I know you're on YouTube, and I know you're on Facebook, and I know you're on Instagram, and I know you're on Twitch, which is kind of cool because it's a platform that I haven't yet put enough time into to get to know how it works, but it's on my list. It's on my list. And you know, when you look back at when I first appeared to be mom, which is a while ago, and you look at Leslie, the actor who played Dad, and you looked at me, and we looked like a couple. The thing is that, yeah, you know, they aged me. They aged me, so I looked old enough to be his wife because he was 35 years older than me. So when I would go into work, I'd look, you know, fairly presentable. I'd look pretty cute. And then they would work their magic, if that's what you want to call it. And I would look in the mirror and think, oh, well, lucky me, I'm famous. And then I would walk off and do my thing. And so it's a funny kind of, it's a dislocation when we have this internal idea of what we are and who we are. And then we either catch sight of ourselves in a mirror, or somebody says or does the most astonishing thing. And I know I've done this a million times. Somebody says or does this astonishing thing, and I say, could you pause a moment? I'll be right back. And I go and I look in a mirror to see if I still am the me that I know I am. Because if I am, then what the hell did they just do? What were they thinking? Because it's disorienting, right? It's disorienting when we walk in and we figure that we're this, and we come in with our energy and our plans, and we are not addressed or greeted or noticed or included in the way, I don't mean according to our status. I don't mean anything that egocentric. I mean, they don't see us. And so we wonder always, because we're like that, what did we do? What's happened? And many of us, if we are the slightest bit uncertain, many of us try to pretzel ourselves into some kind of container that suits other people's purpose. And the reason that is about 3 shades lighter than batshit crazy is because we have to keep doing it for every new person, because no two people look through the same filter at anything, let alone us. So we try so hard to conform, to comply, to be worthy, to be valued, to be seen and heard. It's a wonder we even get through a day. And then on top of that, if something goes wrong, if something happens that completely shatters what we thought was logical, what we thought was reasonable, what we thought was safe, then we go through life, if we don't find a safe haven, we go through life like little rudderless boats. We have no internal compass. We have no internal way of finding our true north, finding our path. And we rely so heavily on other people. And I know that we all talk about these things amongst ourselves or to ourselves. So many people look in the mirror and try to change the way we look so that we will be pleasing to other people. And the sad thing about that is that's not the math. That's not the equation. And believe me, I've failed enough math classes to know what math equations are. Those are the things I don't do well. but this one I do brilliantly. And it's this: we can't invent us to please them. We must own us and please us. And it is that draws people to us. I'm going to say it again. I'll take a sip of coffee and I'll say it again. It's so soothing. It doesn't matter how much we contort. It doesn't matter how much we reach, chase, crave in order to belong. That's not the definition of belong. That's the definition of comply. That's the definition of enslavement to. We are the source of this feels normal, this feels compliance, this feels this I'm walking here. We own that. When we own that, it is a magnet. It is a lightning rod. It draws people because it is entirely whole. It's balanced. It may not be wise. It may not be powerful. What it is true. And you know, people talk about different kinds of energy. And they talk about different kinds of magnetism, of charisma. And they talk about different reasons that people are drawn to us. And one of the big ones that people think has the most pull is love. And it's close. It's number 2. However, the biggest one, the one that stands and draws everything, including love, is authenticity. The minute you see people saying everybody must wear this, walk this way, do this, speak this way, lean this way, we instinctively know that set of rules is not healthy. The reason you need new blood, new ideas, new approaches, fresh collaboration is that is the reason you don't keep rebreathing the same air you breathed is because you've used up the oxygen. It becomes unhelpful. The reason you need to take a fresh breath is to bring new oxygen in to re-oxygenate the blood. And that is what fuels everything in the body. It allows everything to work at its maximum. You can't drive a vehicle on fumes. You need fresh fuel. You can't keep eating packaged garbage, fake substances because they have been altered to taste good or satisfyingly crunchy. You need actual nutrients and nutrition to fuel the body, to fuel the brain in order to be alive. You don't drink from a stagnant pond. You don't eat rancid meat. You can try to drink milk that's gone off, but good luck with that. We need authenticity. We need fresh. We need rest. We need restoration. And when something is broken, it is not helpful to look to other broken people for safety. Because then all that's happening is everybody's broken. Nothing is growing. Nothing is changing. Nothing is moving forward. So in my life, one of the things that happened to me twice was that I encountered people who were fundamentally broken, who had fundamentally lost their ability to lead. They could catch moments of it. And when they did catch moments of it, they were brilliant. Most of the time, and increasingly over time, they had a harder and harder time going there because they were more and more exhausted, because they refused to see that they could improve, they could get better if they would seek help. They didn't. I won't ever know why. It's not why I'm here. I'm here because I survived, because I lived among them. I learned from them. And when they didn't have what I needed in order to learn and grow, I looked elsewhere because I was hungry. I was more hungry than I was afraid. I was more curious than I was shy. And boy, was I shy. And the reason I was shy as a child is because they didn't show me how not to be. They were not always able. They did not always have the capacity. So I grew up as a small child with a full capacity tank, and I did not know that they did not. And it's the same with everybody. Everybody looks back on moments in their childhood and says, well, this is why. Okay, that was why then. It's no excuse now. If you know there's something wrong, you don't have to keep looking back and saying, well, it started then. In a relay race, you don't keep looking back at the first guy who ran slowly. The minute you grab the baton, you're out there hell-bent for election. Because every handoff is a fresh start, right? So my topic today is based on a couple of things. Queen of multiple platforms, thank you. So here's what has happened to me. 7 years ago, I met someone who completely had his own invisible listening brick, and he clipped me soundly behind one ear, and I went, wow. And I said, I need to find the path that takes me to that. I need to find the Abbey path that takes me to that. And he said, yes, you do. And who this man is, he's a retired Canadian military veteran. He sustained post-traumatic stress outcomes, and along with a group of fellow veterans, worked with and through health agencies and animal training organizations. And together, this group discovered that there is something that dogs are able to do that can arrest, literally stop in its tracks, a psychotic episode before it takes hold. Dogs are able to smell the chemical shift in the human body when that episode is about to happen, because it's triggered by a chemical shift, a chemical imbalance. And they got together with the right government organizations, and they began a program to see how that works, how dogs can do that, because dogs can sense a lot of things. They can sense a chemical shift when you're on the brink of a diabetic incident, when you're on the brink of a stroke, when you're on the brink of a spike in a cancer situation. They can smell not the actual issue itself, but the trigger mechanism that is fueling the spike, and they can alert to it. So the training of the dog is not to teach them to alert to this. It is to teach them not to alert to all the other stuff that they can sense. And so that part of the training, it takes a while. And the second part of the training, when we can say the dog is certified, it means that we can count on the dog to do this reliably. Then the next thing is finding the human partner and training them together, finding the right match in terms of personality and in terms of energy. Finding that match takes time because it's like any dating app, right? And then the training of the two working together, because now you will be side by side. The dog can help if the dog can touch you. And therefore, when you leave home, you have the dog with you on a leash, and you can feel the energy flowing through the leash. The dog, when he's off duty, is beside you, always near you, because they can sense it. They can sense it from a distance, but they have to be able to touch you. Why it works is their touch transmits to you their calming, I am present in this moment, healthy energy. And it overrides the panic. It overrides the release of the chemical. And therefore, the event doesn't happen. It doesn't cure. What it does is it gives you time to rest. It gives you time to sleep. It gives you time to recover. And it helps you regain your confidence that you are safe out in public. Can you go back to work? Maybe, maybe not. The point is, can you live? And the answer is yes. The point is, can you live a quality life? The answer is yes. They've proven it. So I have been in touch with my friend constantly, continuously, not every day, because my path is talking about our readiness. My path is saying, when we hit our Milo moment, our moment when our brain says, not good enough, check please. That is not a pivot. It's a pivotry moment because it is a perceptual shift. Once we make that perceptual shift and own it, we can physically do anything we want. Once we know that we are here, there's no going back. Because the minute we have stepped outside that box, outside that envelope, outside that very small pretzeled existence, we expand, we take the shape of our reality. There is no going back. It's everything. And because I know this from my life, and my collaborator and I have compared notes ever since our first conversation, and in my meeting with all these fairly impressive people with all kinds of stuff on their uniform shoulders, we all know that I'm the spokesperson that they need to carry it over from the warrior wounded to the civilian population. Military brats, children of the military. We're not entirely civilians. We're not entirely military. We are in that, we are in that middle uncertain ground. And so I am the messenger. I am not the solution. I am the messenger. I have lived in those places. I watch in awe what they do. And I can now see and sense who is ready and who needs more. And that's what this is episode 398. This is ABCAST 398. This has been going on since November of 2021. Unbelievably. And maybe 2022. Yes, it's going to be 2022. November 2022. Extraordinary decision I made. My promise to me and to you and to everyone is that I will show up. I will lean in twice a week to make sure you know you're not alone. To make sure you know I got a boat. Would you like to row? So here we are today. And the subject today is the moment we know why we're ready to choose to be free. The moment we know why we're ready to let go and say no, so that we can finally be. Because every time we compromise us to fit in just a little, to comply, to conform, and of course we all comply and conform to a certain extent. That's normal. I'm talking about the ones that really, they hurt us. And no matter how many times we say, no, it's fine, it's not that, no, I don't mind, it's not that bad, really. And I always tell this story. If I ever went shopping with you and I said, I want to try on a dress, and I came out and I say, what do you think? And you say, it's not that bad, really. Excuse me. I'm going back in, taking it off, and either cutting into small pieces so it never harms another person, or possibly setting fire to it, or all three. But we're not saying, well, maybe I can wear it with a jacket. What? No. Why? I'll tell you why. If I'm here, I have earned it. This is my moment. This is my Milo moment. What is a Milo? A Milo is the early grain. It is the early seed. It is the enduring connection to something new, something real, something that by virtue of it being new and being real, it feeds us, it fuels us, it nurtures us, it empowers us. Our Milo moment is our ownership moment. It's the Ratso Rizzo from Midnight Cowboy thumping his hand on a taxi cab that had inched forward as they were crossing a sidewalk. And he hit it and he said, I'm walking here. The character played by Dustin Hoffman was pathetic. Pathetic in every sense of the word. And yet he knew his moment and owned it. And I loved that Milo moment in the movie all by itself for all the reasons that all of us, great and small, have our spot, have our space, have our usness, our thee and we-ness. We're entitled to it. The other thing I loved about it, having being in the industry, you look stuff up. It turns out that was not in the script. It turns out that one of the stunt drivers is sitting at the light for Dustin Hoffman and John Voight to cross the street. His foot just slipped off the brake. And the car just went, and then he caught it right away. Professional driver. But the car that just jumped forward was right where the actor was walking. Bang, I'm walking here was not in the script. He was in character as Ratso Rizzo, telling the driver of that car, the power under that hood. I don't think so. And it became something bigger than big for me, because it gave me validation that no matter how one and only one of me there were, I had as much right to feel valid as anybody with an army. I just needed to go and do better recruiting. And that has been the underpinning of everything I've done. When I got into show business, nobody said, oh, please come in, sit down. What can we do for you? Not a single person. I had to prove myself multiple times to the same people before somebody said, well, I guess, well, we can give you a try. And the number of blank-faced people who have greeted my excitement and enthusiasm The number of people who just sit there looking like they had full head Botox before they sat down with me is exhausting. What that says to me, what that tells me when I sit down, is not rejection. It doesn't make me put my little tail between my legs and go away and say, okay, well, I guess I'll just, no, I don't think so. What it tells me is they don't have the skill because nobody taught them. Or they had the skill and something happened. And now they're keeping the skill safe until they feel that it's okay. In which case, enter the Viking. I realize, when I play back these videos to see exactly what I've done, I hear me swallowing when I'm drinking my coffee, and I'm thinking, boy, that in case I needed a better microphone. Do you need an upgrade? No, I'm good. So there are 3 things I'm going to talk about after our hello, which took half an hour. The first thing I'm going to talk about is this. We don't naturally comply. Naturally, we take the shape of our containers. All creatures do. I will accidentally, in a store, taking stuff out of my purse or getting comfortable in a banquette in a restaurant, I'm just stretching out. Then somebody comes along and I'm saying, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm behaving like water. I'm taking the shape of my container and I put everything closer to me so that they have their space. We are naturally inclined to expand. We are taught by those who raise us to be cautious about that, to be careful until we know that our space is safe. So then we are taught to do this. When you're a very small child and somebody says to you, and you learn a certain language, you say, do you love me? And they go, yeah. You say, how much? And the person goes, it's much. I love you this much. Gradually over time, by the time you get into your 20s or 30s and you say, do you love me? You say, oh, yes. How much do you love me? This much. What happened? Life. I'm prepared to love you, all of it. I'm just not going to expose myself to the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune yet. So we are open and trusting and curious and excited when we begin. One would think that the more knowledge we acquire, the more skills we grasp and perfect, the more open we would be. However, we are taught to be afraid. We are taught to be afraid. We are taught that mistakes are bad. We are taught to stay in our lane, to don't push your way forward, go along to get along, be part of. And it goes against our nature. And every time we have to learn it, we grieve a part of us. They've done studies on intelligence, and the number of children with the capacity for genius. So genius capacity is an IQ over 120. The capacity for genius in children is a very high percentage because they don't just study intelligence quotient. They put kids through tests to see their capacity for learning and applying and adapting and assimilating and imagining and creating, all of that. By the time they're in grade school, by the time they're in middle school, by the time they're in high school, that incredibly high percentage has dramatically dropped. And the reason it has dramatically dropped is that, like any muscle, in order for it to be strong, you need to use it. In order to develop good muscle coordination and flexibility, you have to practice, you have to work out, you have to use the tools that get you stronger on a regular basis. You don't have to go crazy, you just have to be consistent. Sadly, the exercises that best prepare us and polish us for genius are not the ones we're taught. The ones we're taught are conform, comply, limit, don't lead, Don't imagine. Just copy and paste. Learn, conform. Wait for the bell. At the bell, either pick your pen up or put your pen down. The human brain doesn't work that way. The human body doesn't work that way. What those lessons and those exercises were originally designed to do, and by the way, flawlessly, were to keep people in a state of preparedness to repeat simple functions. The educational system was developed during the industrial age. The industrial age needed many people to do repetitive tasks. If we had fast forwarded directly from the industrial age to today, to the dawn of advanced artificial intelligence, much of what was taught and how it was taught would not have taken place. Selective learning, that is the function of creative imagination, that is the function of originality, of this strange and glorious capacity that humans have for perception, to remember and invent and create connections, cause and effect, is remarkable. The difference between the human brain and the artificial process is that the artificial process is quick, the artificial process is vast, the artificial process is tireless. It does not originate. It extrapolates. It collaborates. It coordinates. It aggregates. It can take 6 things, do the math, suggest possible. If we teach anything, any sentient thing, how to do something, it can learn it. There are many, many functions that humans have that are not taught, that they are innate. And the difference then, the importance then in our emerging age, is the way in which our innate can collaborate with structure and process and algorithm. That's a very interesting and important blend. If all we're doing is a repetitive function, a machine can do it better because it doesn't get tired and it just does the same. If there is a flaw in something that is put together and it is not necessarily mathematical, it is the human who can spot it. So in looking at our lives moving forward, we are quickly becoming open to, offered greater possibilities to be who we innately are, and less of the conforming robotic that was asked of us. It's a very exciting time. Terrifying for people who learned the other way and now don't know what to do. Terrifying. And the more people are afraid, the louder they speak. And the louder they speak, the angrier they get. And the angrier they get, the less they listen. And the less they listen, and the angrier they get, and the louder they speak, the less they have the capacity to learn, to grow, to trust, to thrive. And that's also where we are. So the reason that I began this journey, and the reason I am continuing this journey is evolving. Because what began for me as a way to communicate to people who were scared, who were lost, who didn't have the tools, who just needed a universal hug on a more regular basis, that hasn't changed. Everywhere I look, people need a lot more hugs. Everywhere my collaborating partner looks, we need a lot more dogs. And so our paths are definitely parallel. And they are increasingly closer in step. So my conversation today is the Milo moment when we see that we are free and understand why it's our time to be, is one of the key tent peg moments, elements, structural points in how thee and me, how we are walking together. Okay? Not only how, but why we are suddenly free to choose to be us, to be free. So one more sip and I will now fill you in. Thank you for your patience. Something happens to us. It's that trigger mechanism that says, danger, danger, Will Rogers. Something happens in our brain when we are close to something that is not helpful or healthy for us. It is a natural mechanism of the human body, and it is triggered by this deep, ancient, primitive, they call it the reptilian brain, the lizard brain. It is the subconscious. It is our survival brain. It's been with us since the dawn of our species. It senses danger. It senses a shift in the energies around us. Other animals closer to the danger are reacting, and we are sensing their fear energy. And like those Roman armies that would put up their shields, shield wall, we lock down. We lock down and we lock in, and then we scuttle off to safety. That's what that brain does. At some point, our slightly more advanced brain says, no. Because this brain only knows fight, flee, freeze, hide, comply. Those are the primitive 5 potential responses to fear, to imminent. On the other side, instead of going into react mode, threat, react, you can only react in those 2 ways. You can lean in to react, or you can run away to react. Because freeze, hide, comply is the same as flee. It's just, if you can't flee, then you try to be invisible. It's still a running away. Fight is, I think I can take him. It's also a survival mechanism. The thriving mechanism is more complex. And it is based on the idea that strength in numbers works. Because, the human is a puny species. We can get defeated by almost anything unless we can outthink them, unless we can outposition them, in which case. So what has happened to us over time is there is a trigger point. There is a tipping point moment. There is a Milo moment when we say, wait, what? Aha. The wait, what, aha is the brave one who sticks its head up and then down to say, the enemy's moved around behind us. The enemy fell down a hole and they left their weapon behind. Huzzah. The wait, what, aha, is our Milo moment. Sometimes it is a lean in, a holding on to. Sometimes it is a full-on rejection, a no. And sometimes it is door number 3. And door number 3 can be any number of things. Usually it is some kind of a blend of all the way this way and all the way that, because that's how a pendulum swings, right? Physics, if it goes all that way, it has to go all that way. But at some point, it's in various places along that path. And I call this whole curve door number 3. The learning curve, the listening curve, the aha curve is door number 3. And we can pick any spot along there that is a combination of this and this that is maybe better. And that is how I have tried my best, do my best to live my life. When you're in full panic, you can only see door number 1 or 2. There's only stay or go. And that isn't true. There is always door number 3. So the Milo moment, when we know, is that moment when we look at something and we absolutely know, without understanding how we got there, that what we were okay with, what we were putting up with, what we didn't really pay attention to, what we allowed to slide, what we didn't think we deserved, all of a sudden, there's a phrase, an old phrase, the straw that breaks the camel's back. It's not one straw, it's the final straw. It's how many straws before that. The ultimate straw was the one that finally the camel said, I'm done. So the Milo moment, the tipping point moment, the Pivotry moment is when we say, that way. And we don't really look back, unless it's to pick up our suitcase or say, check, please. The minute we know that we're full, that we're done, that it's over, the minute we know we are ready, have been ready to let go, is a moment of such a huge energy rush. It's not adrenaline. It's like you open a door and the air comes in and goes whoosh. It's what was that movie called about firefighters? Backdraft. It's like a backdraft without flame. You open the door and this rush of recognition, this rush of discovery, sound effect, ah, right? It's a thunderclap of recognition. It's Ratso Rizzo, boom, I'm walking here. And owning it, no matter how crippled, no matter how hopeless, owning it with what he had, taking it. We all have that capacity. For most of us, we are so overwhelmed by so many things. Many, too many of us spend our lives saying, it's okay, it's not that bad. Or worse of all, choose to live shadow lives. And by a shadow life, it's a definition of a person who, once traumatized, chooses to stay there, focused on it endlessly. Because that grief, that fear, that exhaustion, that pain, they don't ever want to experience anything that big again. So they're not going to live in the present with us on the off chance that something else can ravage them, damage them, hurt them the same or bigger. So they will stay there because they know the size of it. It's safe. It's the same old every day. However, it's safe because it's familiar and they can handle it. And so many of us do that. All of us have done it for some period of time, even knowing we're doing it, either because we can't see another way out, we're too exhausted to look up and wonder if there's another way out, or we just don't feel that we would be able to take that way out. And so gradually, we live smaller and smaller and sadder and quieter lives in shades of soft, diminishing beige. Pivotry in motion is the moment when we say, it doesn't have to be big. It just has to be. And the fact of the matter is, things by themselves don't change. It requires contact with something for things to change. When people say things have got to get better, well, they don't get better by themselves. They get better because somebody does something. Somebody nudges something and something falls over and the next thing rolls over this way and something pops out of that. We've seen all of those experiments that people put together. When I watch those experiments, I think they had nothing better to do than set that up, knowing. Boop. Oh, I have to. So here, me in front of you on episode 398, saying to you, as I have been saying for the last several, I don't know how many of these videos and these streams and these conversations that I have with people, we're on the brink of something big. And I'm going to tell you the day. I'm going to tell you the day of the official launch of what is big. There's going to be pre-launches. There's going to be soft launches, and the clock is ticking. But I'm telling you that the launch date I have set is the 16th of November this year. It's a Sunday. And what I launch, how many things I launch, is still fluid, is still in motion. Where I launch, how I launch, with whom and what is coming into focus. So I have the movers and shakers and players gradually stepping up. And I have the date, and I've given myself that date because you can't get in a vehicle and head off until you know the direction you're aiming for. And my aim is the 16th of November. And I'm going to tell you why. The 16th of November happens to be 2 birthdays that were pivotal in my life. One was my father, and one was Les Lye. Les Lye was the actor who played all the male characters on You Can't Do That on Television. He was the head writer on 4 other shows. He was a radio mega mover and shaker. He was a powerhouse person in the creative artistic community. His voice and his face and his comedic madness is known worldwide, whether they know his name. And I had the great good fortune to work alongside him on half a dozen shows in our parallel time together. And this year, it would be his 101st birthday. Coincidentally, this year would be my father's 101st birthday. My parents married late, and then my dad had a very rare blood type, and it took them 10 years to be able to come up with me. How odd for me then to find myself playing wife to Somebody 35 years older than me. And nobody said you look too young. Thanks to the makeup artist. So I want to celebrate these pivotal men in my life. It is not a coincidence by any means that November is Remembrance Month for the military. It is not a coincidence that I celebrate that every year as a military child. It is not a coincidence that my collaborating partner in the PTSD reset, resource, replug path is military. We all pause for that moment. We remember. Not that there have been conflicts, not why there have been conflicts, not how there have become conflicts so dire that it cost human lives. That's not what we remember. We remember, and we, like fresh fuel, we want to approximate ourselves. We want to stand close to. We want to draw in their why. What it was, what it is, what continues to be this wellspring, this decision to say, I value, I cherish. I commit. I persist. I walk here. We walk here. Thee and me. The ability, the decision, the choice, that Milo moment, that tipping point moment, that Pivotry moment, it doesn't say, excuse me, it's not, I'm not saying you are wrong and I am right. That's not what it is. What we suddenly know is that that is not where I'm meant to be. Whatever that is. I choose to say, this is me. That's not me. This is me. This me, this moment, this recognition, this Milo. This is who I am, who I'm meant to be. And I will own it. I will walk the path. The freedom to swing our influence, our ideas, our insistence does not exist to override others. It exists to collaborate, to connect, to communicate, to engage, and to collectively transform, to grow together, to build together, to make greater, not to destroy. When it gets subverted, when it gets diverted, when it gets perverted, we all pay a price. Pivotry in motion is the umbrella moment when we realized we were on a path that no longer serves. We were in compliance with a concept that no longer feeds us, fuels us, celebrates us, cherishes us. We are no longer where we need to be in order to be. Yes, Freddie, I know the correct date. We are going to celebrate. Let me divert and let me address Freddie's comment. We are celebrating on the 16th, Freddie, not because that's the actual day, but it's the closest day that is a Sunday when people are available. That's why I'm doing it. Thank you, though, for reminding me. So going back to my thread, how we proceed is not something we have to figure out alone. I have been figuring it out kind of solo, and then in reaction and response to things, preferably in response to things, most of my life. My learning curve becomes your starting point, becomes your elevating leverage moment. What I have walked through, seen, assimilated, understood, approximated, and then defined is yours now to begin with, rather than starting at zero. My Milo moment, if this helps you, Freddie, my Milo moment is the 16th of November. It honors Leslie's birthday. It honors my father's birthday. They are both the same day, not the 16th. My day is the 16th, for you to understand. And it's not that Freddie can't understand. Freddie is a genius, a verified, bona fide genius. Geniuses sometimes get very, very specific, which is why you save me from so much. Thank you, Freddie. So the point today, and here we are almost close to 11 o'clock. Here's the story. Here's the story. Once upon a time, I woke up and I looked around me and I said, no, I don't think so. And I got together my things and I left. I wasn't clear where I was going. What I knew was I wasn't going to stay there. It happened to me over and over throughout my life. And of course, each time is another lesson. Each time is greater clarity. Every time, though, was a moment when I opened my eyes and said, no, this is not for me. It might have been, it might have seemed to be, but today, in this moment, now, I recognize it's not enough. That's simply a very subjective value judgment. It's not enough for me. And so I got up and I collected my things and I went in search of me. I set myself free. Did I physically leave? Not always, not right away. Did I physically pack my things? Not always, not right away. But the decision was made within. And having made that decision, having said to myself, and this is where I live in this decision moment. This is not me. This is me. In that Pivotry moment, that Milo moment, I embodied, I became, I began the newest version of me. Didn't look different, probably didn't act different. But my focus, my intention, my purpose, my drive, my passion, and my roadmap had changed vastly and forever. Forever. I'm not talking about somebody fights with you or the food goes bad or you have an accident and you're never going to go there and I'm never going to speak to you again. I'm not talking about that. Those are ups and downs and ebbs and flows in all things. We break, we fix, we revisit, we improve, we forgive. I'm not talking about forgiveness. I'm talking about readiness. When I was 6 years old, somebody asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up. I've never forgotten the question because I had to look way up at the person and I said, taller. You know what? I am. All the adults in the room laughed really hard because I want to be an angel. I want to be Tinkerbell. I want to be a fireman. No, I just want to be taller. Why? Because then I can reach the car keys and I can get out of here. I didn't know that then. So yes, thank you, Freddie. My realistic goal is to listen to me. Because if you listen very carefully, what you can hear in your head is the little voice saying, not yet, not yet, not yet. Yes, yes, yes. Fly and be free. We can all hear it. Now, here is why I'm here with you. I'm here with you because that you know it, that you feel it, that you choose it, does not mean you actually have the skills to take the next step after the decision. The decision is possible. It is within our grasp to say, check, please. Then we flounder because we don't know how to take those steps we need. I do. In fact, I invented a bunch of them. Most recently, in the last 6 years, I have developed the process. How to implement the decision to be 100% authenticity. I know that. Not only have I used it on myself, but when I began in the industry, in the entertainment industry, every chance I got that I learned something, I turned around and taught it to someone else. In the midst of becoming all the things that would allow me to be on television and on stage and write shows and be on radio and connect with people and promote things, every single thing I learned, I turned around and turned into a value lesson, which I then taught to people. I ran little schools and taught kids how to step into their own. I taught at community colleges that teach broadcasting and everything you need to do to be able to be in the entertainment broadcasting industry or the journalistic broadcasting industry. How to think, how to write, how to listen, how to interview, how to talk, how to present, all that. Once I learned it, I assimilated it, and I taught it. That's a long time ago. I haven't stopped. My publishing company is not merely take your book and put it out there. No, I mentor authors who don't know how to complete the task once they've picked up the weapon of mass construction. I guide them through that. I show them their navigation tools, and then I help them in their little first boat get to where they want to be. I have never stopped doing that since I learned that I could do it for me. Why? Because thee and me, we are a community. If you're watching me and you've decided to watch me again, we live in the same village. We are us. And whatever else is going on in the outside world goes on in the outside world. And we do have to look up and say, what's happening now? Oh, okay. And we do have to look out and see what the weather is before we decide to wear shorts or a parka. Of course we do. None of those things happen. None of those things matter. None of those things are anything we're going to invest in or pay attention to if we are broken and we can't find the reason to put socks on. If we are vastly damaged by something, physical, mental. We seek assistance. We will go to a hospital. We will go to a restaurant. We will go to a place to have clothing. We will go to a place to find shelter. We do that. We will go to ground. We will seek. So where do we go and who do we turn to for the strategy that values, engages, connects, and transforms a not good enough reality to the one that is worthy of thee and me? And the answer to that question is me. I haven't failed yet. Now, I remember somebody saying to me once, we live on this island, we haven't had a hurricane in 35 years. And I said, so then you might be due? And they looked at me and I thought, oh, that was unhelpful. Have I failed? I've hit walls and fallen down and said, ow. That's not a fail. That's a reset. That's a lesson. I can guarantee you that. So what are these tools that I promise? What are these tips that I promise? What is the patented Abby escape secret? Escape is now a big thing. All these escape manners, these fabulous people who own these places where you pay to go and get locked in a place with a group and then you figure your way out, right? Okay, let's all think of ourselves as we are locked into something that is not suitable. And together we have to figure a way out. My Abby escape secrets cover 3 things. What, how, why. When is a function of those 3. I help you personalize, synthesize what it is in relation to you, how it is impacting you, why you have the capacity to choose to set yourself free. I give you your signature, not used by anybody else, key to your what, how, and why. When you have those, my loves, nothing can keep you down. Nothing can hold you back. You get to set yourself free on your terms, over and over and over again. This is where we're going. This is what I'm leading you to. This is what will launch along with a few other amazing things on November 16th this year. Celebrating the 2 pivotal men in my life who set me off on paths that readied me to be. Thank you for today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for choosing to prioritize you by sharing your time with me. Without you, these videos are just a rehearsal. With you, they are the beginning of everything. So the weekend is upon us. Be good to you. There's a lot going on. You deserve the best. You deserve to choose you. And remember to hug your loved ones because they deserve it too. Thank you so much. You mean everything.